Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video I will show you how to integrate or how to create an iOS plugin for integrating Apple sign-in authentication inside Godot game engine. So let's get started. Now this is only for iOS, do keep that in mind. So first let me tell you, I have just created an empty folder named Godot, and obviously you would require a Mac OS. Make sure Xcode is already installed, and we require Godot game engine. At the time of me recording this video, I am using Godot 4.3.0, which is the latest. Let's get started. So I have already created one cheat sheet. I will be following this cheat sheet, so don't get confused. So first what we will do is we will just create one Godot project. So I'll just open Godot, just click create. I'll just browse to that empty folder which I have created. So this was the folder. I'll select the current folder, and here I'll just name it as my Godot project. Okay, and I'll just click on create and edit, so it will create the project for me. So let's just wait. Okay, once that is done, just go to project, export, add iOS, click on this fix import. Here you will have to enter your App Store team ID. If you want to get I will enter that later on, but you should enter it now. If you want to know how to get your App Store team ID, you should follow this particular URL. But yeah, make sure you enter your App Store team ID now. I will enter later on. And the important thing is we have to enter some bundle identifier. Typically your bundle identifier is com.your company name.your app name. So I will name this as com.nobody.somebody. Okay, make sure you name it different. This is fine. Again, like I told you, I will enter my App Store team ID later on, but you should enter it now. I'll just close this. Then I will just create a 2D scene, and here I will just create one button, and here I will just create this button, and here I will just name the button as sign in. Okay, if you want, you can increase the font size. Theme override font size 40, and I'll just save this, and also I will run this so that our current scene is selected. Okay, now close this. I will now add one label, and here again I will just make this label a little bit big. Again I will just increase the font size. So what I will basically do is I'll just click on this button. I will call our native iOS code which we have written, and once that is done, it will give the email ID as well as the name of the signed in Apple user. Now be careful, there are some options which the user can select or change before giving you the data. So suppose I as a user, I'm using a product which has Apple sign in. Once I click on Apple sign in, Apple presents an option to me that change your email ID. Like it will give you some gibberish email ID. So as a user, if I want, I don't want to give you my real Apple ID, but it will instead of that, Apple will give you some gibberish email ID as a developer. And if I want, I won't be able, like I won't be sharing my name as well. So those all kind of checks inside your app you will have to think about. Once I show you the output, things might become more clearer. So even if you're not able to understand now, that's fine. I'll just save this. Then here I will attach one script to this as well. Let's look at the code later on. Okay, next we'll have to create an just open Xcode. Make sure you go to open this particular link as well, which I have already opened, because from this particular link we will be copying some code. So just scroll down. Here they have given some steps what you have to do. So now Xcode is acting up. It is taking a little bit of time to boot up. In that time, what we can do is, given that Xcode is acting up, I can just okay, what I'll do, I'll just go back to my, so this is my Godot project, right? Okay, so Xcode is here. Okay, so just go to Xcode, click at the top, file, new, and here you will have to click on package. Now save the package in the Godot folder itself, not in the Godot game project, but in the Godot folder which we have created. So here select multi-platform, select library, click next. I will name it as my library. Change the name to whatever you feel like, but if you decide to change this name, do remember your own library name, because this name will be referenced in many places in our code as well. So I will just go to the Godot folder and I'll just click on create. Once it has created, let's go to my cheat sheet. So the first thing is we'll have to change the Swift version to 5.10. Now, at least at the time of me recording, the Swift Godot library does not support Swift 6.0. That's why we are changing the version to 5.10. But if you are watching this and Swift Godot already supports Swift 6.0, you don't need to make these changes. So here we just have to change it to 5.10. Then we just have to copy this particular URL. Sorry. Create a build.sh file in my library. Okay, sorry, I missed out few steps. So firstly we'll have to go to we need to add this particular bit of code in package.swift, right? So just go to package.swift. Okay, we are already here, and if you see the documentation here, you can see they are telling add this dependency after our products array. So I'll just come over here. After our products, I will add this. Now it will automatically install. Here you can see it is automatically downloading the Swift Godot dependency, so we don't have to worry about installing anything. I think that is using Swift package manager. Then we have to add this platform iOS 17. Now at least at the time of me recording, I tried using iOS version 15 as minimum, but it was causing a lot of issues. That's why I updated to iOS 17. So if you see over here you can see after our name we have to add this. So after my name I will add this. Okay, so this is done. Then we have to add this type dynamic as well. So if you see, they have added the type dynamic to their library. So to library, something like this. Okay, then we have to add these dependencies as well. So let's see where to add this. So here you can see inside target, just a second, inside target name we have to add this. Okay, so I'll just come over here. I will add a comma over here and I'll paste this particular bit of code. I'll just indent it properly. So yeah, looks better now. So this is done as well. Then we'll have to go to, we have already done this step. Then what I will do is I will just open this my library inside VS Code, because the few steps which I want to do is very difficult to do it via Xcode. I don't know how to do it via Xcode. So here is our my library which we just created inside Xcode, opened in VS Code as well. You can continue to use Xcode if you are comfortable. So the things which we have to do is we just have to create build.sh inside my library, right? So I'll just create this particular file, build.sh. Now we'll have to copy this particular bit of code from this particular URL. Again, shout out to this guy Stefan. He has helped me a lot. So yeah, appreciate his efforts. What I'll do, I'll just copy everything and I'll come over here and I'll paste it over here. Now we have to make few changes. So for that, what I will do is I'll go to a separate folder. Again, ignore this, you don't have to worry about this. I will just tell you what all changes you have to make. So firstly, inside scheme, so here is our build.sh, right? Inside your scheme you just have to use something like this, and I have also added this skip macro validation, because this was causing a lot of issue for me while generating the build. So these are the two changes. Rest everything I have just copied from this GitHub URL, but yeah, you can just copy. So just make this change as well as this particular change. Rest everything remains the same. So as you can see over here. Okay, again coming back to my cheat sheet. So change the scheme, we have done this. Then cd to our library. Okay, so firstly you will have to go to your terminal, cd to my library folder which we have created, then just run this particular command. Okay, so this particular command, ignore this quote which I have added, it was by mistake. So just run this particular command. Once that is done, you just have to run this particular command. Now if you see over here, I am generating the library or framework for debug mode. because I am not really updating my app to Google, to Apple App Store, right? But if you are making a real game and updating it to Apple App Store, you need to, instead of debug, you should use release. Okay, so but yeah, for now I can just use debug, and I'll run this command over here. Now this will take little bit of time to run. Oh sorry, we have not written the main code itself. I don't know why did I run this. So I'll just do Control C, or let it run, doesn't really matter. So yeah, sorry, I forgot to write the actual implementation itself. So to write the actual implementation, we just have to go to my library over here. Okay, now again I'll just open my practice project where I have written all the code, and I'll copy paste it, and I will explain it to you. Okay, so this is the actual code. Okay, so firstly we are importing. Again, now there are a lot of issues which Xcode is throwing. These are all false positive. You don't need to worry about all this. So firstly we are importing foundation, we are importing Swift Godot, and for Apple sign-in we require this authentication service. And then this is boilerplate code which you have to write. So yeah, this should be your own library name. Then typically what happens is that this is our main class, right, called my library. Again, this should be your own library name. Now this Apple sign-in requires NS object as well as some other delegate methods as well, like this which I have created, NS object, AS authorization delegate. Now some of you are wondering why I have created a different class. We could have taken this and just pasted it over here, but like comma separated, but that won't work. Just because how complex the Swift Godot ecosystem, like internals are, even I don't understand it. But yeah, don't try to do that, it will not work for you. That's why I have to create a separate class. So coming back to this over here, so I've created a sign-in delegate. Okay, and here it extends NS object, AS authorization controller delegate, as well as AS authorization controller presentation context providing. And here I have created two callbacks, on success as well as on error, because these two callbacks would be required inside this particular my library class. Then here we have overridden this particular method which is present in these two delegates. Okay, and here I'm just getting hold of our window scene or main scene, because this Apple sign-in needs to know what window we are calling from. So that's why this particular code is necessary. Okay, okay, sorry, again forget it. Sorry, then here we are overriding another method in case of error. So here you can see, in case we get any error, we just call this on error callback and send the required error back to this particular callback. And once you click on the sign in functionality, user clicks on sign in, then this particular method gets called. We try to extract the credentials. So here you can see I'm getting the ID, email, name. Again, be careful, the name as well as the email, either of them can be null. So yeah, be extremely careful with this. And once I have this, I'm just setting it to user defaults. Now if you don't know what user defaults is, it is basically like for storing key value data. The reason I will tell you why I'm storing this in user defaults later, but I'm just storing the ID of the user inside a key name ID. Okay, and once I have the ID, name, email, I'm calling the on success callback and returning that data back. And in case of error, again I'm just returning the error back. Now here I have created our class. So this particular class need to be called from GD script. That's why it is annotated with @Godot, and here this ref counted because of memory management. I'm not good at this. Then here we get hold of our Apple sign-in delegate. Then I have created two signal, one for sign out and one for out. Now this should have been named something better. This output signal will basically give us the output, like the name, email, ID of the signed in user. And this sign out, because suppose if the user is signed in some other Apple device as well, and if they decide to change their password or do something with their Apple ID, then we need to sign out that user in our own application as well. That's why this particular callback. Then here I have created this notification center. So this will help us to basically let our app know that something has changed in the user's Apple sign-in ID. And this AS authorization provider, so if the user if the credentials are revoked, so this particular method gets called. So here you can see I have created the sign-in method, so this we will need to call from. Godot side. So firstly we initialize our sign in delegate, and on success, here you can see once I have everything, I send it as a signal back to Godot side. In case of error, again with the help of this I just send that, with the help of signal I send it back to Godot side. Then here I have created this AS authorization Apple provider, and here we are requesting for full name, requested scope are full name as well as email. And yeah, and here we just do AS authorization controller, pass our request. Then here we set our delegate which we have created, and here is our presentation context provider as well, where we pass our delegate and just perform our request. Then this is another method called check for change. So this you can call inside your on ready, just to know whether the user has changed something or not. Okay, and here is our remove observer. So once our game like GD script window has been destroyed, so we can stop observing this. So I think this can be called what is the opposite of ready method? I think it is exit tree window or scene window, something like that in GD script, which we will look later on. So in that particular thing you can call this. And here this method also you can call in ready. So if the user is already signed in inside our application, we don't need to call this again and again, right? We don't need to ask the user to sign in again and again. We can just check this method at sign in, and here you can see and if the user is already signed in, then we can just navigate to the main screen of our game. So here you can see we are just doing user defaults.standard. So that's why I was using user defaults. We are getting the ID. If we have it, then show the logins. Sorry, if we don't have it, then show the login screen. That's what I'm emitting back. But if we have it, then we just do AS authorization Apple provider and just get the credential state. If the user is already authorized, then I'm saying user is already authorized. If credentials are revoked, that means sign your user out from your own application as well, if you are maintaining some kind of a cache, and navigate to the user to the login screen. If not found, then show the login screen as well. And in case of default, also unknown credential state. So yeah, that's it for all the code which you have to write. Again, sorry about all this errors which Xcode is showing. These are all false positive and these are not really errors. So yeah, simply scroll through this. Yeah, next, now we will have to run this particular command .build.sh iOS debug. So again, this will take little bit of time, so just be patient. In the meantime, so for me it was pretty quick because I have already ran this particular command, but yeah, for you it will take little bit of time. Once that is successful, in case if it doesn't succeed, that means you have done some mistake. Just go through this code once more. Yeah, then again coming back to my cheat sheet. So here inside our Godot project, so I'll just go to, what I'll do is I will just go to my Godot project. So this is my Godot project, right? And here we will firstly have to create a bin folder. So we'll just create a bin folder over here, and inside that we will have to create a file called mylibrary.gd extension, right? So I will just so again what I'll do is I will just open my Godot project inside VS Code. I'll just do file, new window. Again, if you want to create that file using the Godot editor, you can do that. I'm just not comfortable. What I'll do, I'll just open the entire Godot folder itself in VS Code. Okay, just paste this. So here is our Godot project. Inside the bin folder, we'll have to create this particular file, mylibrary.gd extension. I'll paste it over here, and here inside this particular file you will have to add this bit of code. So I'll just copy this and I'll paste it over here. Now here you can see that like I mentioned previously, I'm using the debug version. That's why I'm using iOS.debug over here as well as iOS.debug over here. But if you ran this particular command using release over here, then you will have to use iOS.release as well as iOS.release over here. Once this is done, we will have to go to our my library, go to bin, go to iOS, and here you will see these two .framework files. So .framework folders, just copy those two, go back to your Godot project, go to bin, and here just paste it over here. So that's what the path is referring to over here as well as over here. Okay, once that is done, next thing is what I will do, I will create one iOS folder as well. So basically once we export our project from Godot, I will export all the project inside this iOS folder, because there will be lot of files and I don't want to get confused. Now again I'll just go to my practice project because I need to copy some code. I will just open this. Okay, I will first copy the code and then I'll explain it to you. So you just have to go to GD script, just paste this, then here just paste this too. I will go to my button, I will go over here, I will add the pressed thing as well. Okay, and here I will create one method. And here I will create the sign in as well. Now I also require, okay, so, oh sorry, I wrote it twice. We already have this, we can use it over here. Okay, so now coming back to this GD script code. So basically we are creating one variable for our library. Here I am getting hold of our label as well. Then inside the onReady, we just check if my library is initialized or not. Now this should be your own library name as well as over here. So if it is not, then we initialize it. Then we if you remember, we had two signals, output as well as sign out. So I'm connecting those two signals, and here I'm just checking if the user is already authenticated or not. And here I'm also checking for check for change if the user has revoked credentials. There was one more thing, yeah, exit tree. I think I could be wrong on this, but I think the exit tree is called once the this particular screen has been destroyed or moved out of foreground. That's why we want to stop the observation. So you can call this particular thing wherever you feel like. And on button press we just call sign in, and whenever for these two signals we get any data, I have just created one method. You can create two different methods, and whatever data we get, we just update it inside our label. Okay, so the next step is make sure you save this, otherwise those changes will not be reflected. Again, make sure you change your .gd script file. Once that is done, go back to project, go to export, and here you can just export your project. Click on export. I will go to the iOS folder which I have created, and I will export everything over here. Now this will take a little bit of time, so once this is done, I'll come back. Alright, so my export was successful. Now you will have to run this on a real device, it won't work on a simulator. So just go to your iOS folder here, and you just have to double click on this .xcode proj file. It will open the project inside Xcode. Now first thing which you will have to do is go to your Godot project, go to sign in and capabilities, and here just make sure here just make sure that you have signed in properly. So if you are facing an issue something like this, if it is showing this red color tick mark, you just uncheck this and check it back again, and it will automatically resolve it for you. Just make sure you select your team as well. Okay, so here you can see it has resolved it for me. Then just click on plus capability, and here this is the most important part which a lot of people forget, is you have to add the sign in with Apple capabilities as well. So this should be present. Suppose okay, why is this giving? You currently don't have membership. Yeah, I think this is fine. I should just be able to run my application on my real device. That's important for me. Also one more thing which I wanted to tell you is, if you are exporting it later on, again this particular thing, sign in with Apple, will disappear. You will have to add it manually. I couldn't find an option to add sign in with Apple. I think they might add it later on, but yeah, there is no option to add sign in with Apple from Godot side. Now let me just run this application on my real device. Hopefully it should run. Okay, I think I'm getting this Apple's this particular sign in, like what we call it, this provisioning profile error. So I will just resolve this error and come back, and I will run it on my real device as well. Okay, so I'm just trying to run my application. Hopefully it runs. So here you can see it is we are getting this particular signal called show login screen. The reason is because we are not signed in for the very first time. I was sending a very bad output. I mean, I was sending this particular text right from Swift Godot side. You can change it to whatever you feel like. So in case if you are confused what I'm talking about, if you just go to your my library, here you can see I was sending a signal called show login screen. So you can change this to whatever you feel like is correct for you. So currently we are on the login screen. Now I will just click on this create, or it should have been sign in. Okay, the operation couldn't be completed. This was working till yesterday. I don't know what has happened now. Let me quickly check. Okay, I think, yeah, I just re-exported. Maybe that's why the sign in with Apple got the sign in with Apple got disappeared. So I have added it again. So here is a good example of me not following my own advice. Hopefully now it should work. So yeah, show login screen, then I'll just click on it here, and here you can see it is showing me my Apple sign in. So I will just sign in. And here you can see now it has given all this stuff because like I have already practiced on this particular thing. That's why it didn't show me an option called sign in with Apple, where the user is given the choice of picking up his name or email. Unfortunately that is not showing up for me. Let me try it one more time. What I'll do is I'll just change the bundle identifier a little. 1 2 3. I don't know if this will work or not. Okay, this will not work because I'm facing some issue on my okay, yeah, this will not work. Unfortunately I won't be able to show it to you, but hopefully you got the idea like what I was trying to tell. What I'll do is I'll just make it back to the same thing. Okay, and here also I'll make it back to the same thing. I will just uninstall the application. Let's see if that works, because I have already signed in. That's why it was previously in the same application. That's why it didn't show me everything. It just showed me my name, and if you saw the data which I received, that was also a little bit gibberish. But if you are doing this on your side for the very first time, so that should work for you. So let me just click on Brave Evidence. Okay, now I have checked on this. Previously I did not check on this. So now let's see, but you will see a completely different thing. I think this is, I'm doing this for the second, third, fourth time. That's why I'm getting a little different screen. Okay, I think I know why I'm getting this, because yeah, this is the issue with sign in with Apple. You get some gibberish data instead of email and name if you're signing it, even though I uninstall the application. So you will have to cache the data of the user, but yeah, this is how it is. But if you try it on your end for the very first time, you will see a proper sign in with Apple, and it will ask you to check your name and email. Unfortunately I can't really replicate that because I'm also facing some issue on my Apple ID account. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye. Sorry about I'm not able to show the output. Even I am not feeling satisfied about that, but yeah, anyways, hopefully once you try it on your end, everything should be fine. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.